for an hour and a half. Imagine that here in the United States. This is the ceiling of the Szeged Great Synagogue in it's the Great Synagogue in Szeged, Hungary. Just a magnificent ceiling, architectural detail that I like to capture. This is the Italian Synagogue in Istanbul, Turkey. Magnificent lighting there. This is a view from behind the mechitza, which is behind the veil or the screen which divides the women's section from the rest of the synagogue. Here I was just trying to capture what it looks like for a woman to be in the synagogue. That's in Kobe, Japan. This is the front facade of the Ohel Shalom Synagogue in Washington, D.C. A fine inscription on the building there. And here is a fine collection of Torah at the Beth Am Synagogue in Los Angeles. Now here is a terrific example of the really the architectural detail on a gravestone at the Kasipora Cemetery in Kasipora, Suriname.
What's the material there? The
actual stone, I don't know.
But it is stone.
Yes, it might be marble. I can't. It's probably. I think it is marble.
Okay.
That is the oldest cemetery in the Western Hemisphere, 1666. This is the Beth Chaim Cemetery, in Curacao. And the interesting thing here is the juxtaposition next to the oil refinery, which was built in the 1960s and is doing a horrible service to the cemetery. It's disintegrating before our eyes, and it's a terrible shame.
Now, out of the places that you've gone, is it fair to say that you've got some favorites and not so favorites?
Sure. The Subotica Synagogue, which we looked at a moment ago, is certainly one of my favorites. I would say that the synagogues around the Caribbean, the ones with the sand floors, I really like those, just because they're unique. There are only, I believe, it's 5 synagogues with sand floors, so they're very unique. My little synagogue, which was rebuilt in Stoke-on-Trent, we saw a piece of the stained glass. That has a personal significance to me because I'm from there, and it was rebuilt just a few years ago. So these are some of my favorites.
What about the people? If you had to talk about, as you said, people are very important, your contact, etc. That's also got to be an incredible thrill for you, the way people have helped you and got you, like you said, with a woman. I mean, that's got to be enriching to you as well.
Well, it is. It's. I mean, that's an example of the trust that people give to me. And it's funny, as I said, you can't really just show up and knock on the door because people won't really, they're not going to let me in. Who are you? Why are you taking these photos? But the funny thing is, I find that in many cases, I do contact them in advance. I tell them who I am, what I'm doing, give them, of course, my website address and let them look around at information about me. But then when I get there, I find out that they haven't even taken time to do that. So the email and the contact is really enough for them to have the trust to allow me in.
Do you find that those contacts with those people, they continue to help you as you go along?
There have been cases where I've gone back to places and they've helped me, or I've gone back to them and say, hey, I'm going to be in the region, or do you know anybody in such and such a place? And yes, there are people who have time and again, multiple times helped me. People have done remarkable things for me. I mean, they've given me their time, they've picked me up in their cars, they drive me around. People have taken days off work to spend time with me. They've fed me, welcomed me in their homes. It's really
Has that
remarkable.
surprised you, Jono?
Well, I think people surprise me all the time. Yeah, not always in the positive way, but
sometimes that's with everybody.
Yeah, but yeah, it does surprise me. It surprises me that somebody would take a day off work, for example. Okay, they have a little spare time, they help me out. But to take a day off work, I don't know, it's a huge thing. But everybody has their own particular reason for doing it. Everybody feels their own connection to it, or they want to partake and assist me in some way, so for their own personal reasons.
Well, and one thing, and I'm going to read here for a minute because I'm going to murder these places, I'm sure. The anecdotal places you've gone, am I pronouncing it Subotica?
Subotica.
Subotica. What happened there?
Well, that's the synagogue that I mentioned a moment ago, where I showed up, and it was already late in the evening relative to the wanting to get to the tourist office. And as when I walked in, the young lady there had the Star of David, and I knew before I asked.
Well, that was where she gave you the
right,
keys,
and she connected me to her mother, and I spoke to her on the phone that evening. The next morning we met at the synagogue. She let me in. She talked about her life. She talked about the synagogue, and then she handed over one of these mega-sized old-style skeleton keys and gave it to me and said, "There you go. Just make sure you lock up before you go and take the key back to the office." And that was it. She closed the door, and I was in this spooky old building, which is not in use. So it's you know, really kind of cobwebbed, and it was a little spooky in there, but it was all mine for an hour and a half.
Isn't that great? Huh?
It was great.
Suriname? Am I pronouncing that right?
Suriname.
Okay. And that was in the jungle of some type, was it?
Well, yeah, Suriname is on the northeast coast, on the Caribbean coast, really, of South America. And it's somewhat of an obscure country. Not too many people you meet have been there. But it's a fascinating place, and they have a long and rich Jewish history, which is there's still an active community there today. However, the places that I really wanted to get to, one, we showed a photo of the Kasipora Cemetery, is down in the jungle, a few hours south of the capital. And getting down there is somewhat of an ordeal. They don't have a lot of roads, as you might imagine. Going there was an extraordinary experience because this cemetery, which is the oldest in the Western Hemisphere, is overrun by the jungle and the brush.
So did you have guides to take you down
there? Well,
I
had someone take me down there, and in the vehicle that we drove to get down there, there was a day tripper tourist from the capital, and the driver. And then we got down there, and it's a sweatbox there. It's very, very humid, and the conditions for working are really not ideal. But I told them what I was doing, and they really came on board, and they really assisted me.
Let me ask you, we only got a couple minutes left, real quick. What do you want to do with these photos? What's your goal here?
Well, my goal while I'm still alive is to keep on shooting and take as many as I can.
What about a book? What about getting it published?
I've been dreaming of that for years, so if anybody out there wants to help publish my book, a book for me, that's what I would love to do.
Because with those kind of pictures, boy, that would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Well, I think it's something that would be not just great as a historical document, because that's what I'm doing, but yes, I think something that would be thoroughly enjoyable for a lot of people to look at. I will eventually, of course, bequeath my entire library to one or perhaps two reputable Jewish agencies or a museum that can take care of it.
But the goal is to get it published and continue your shooting.
While I'm around, yeah.
You got a long time to go.
I hope so.
Of course, challenges the financial, I guess, isn't it? That's really the big.
That's something, because I'm doing more and I'm traveling more. Yes, it would be nice if I could get a little support in that department too.
I'll write you a check. No. Listen, continue doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
I mean, the pictures are incredible.
Thank you.
30,000, a lot of traveling, and the biggest thing is that you seem to really enjoy what you're doing.
I do.
And it's quite obvious it's a passion for what you're doing. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Toby.
I find doing the show that I come across people doing different things for different reasons. In most cases, it's because of a passion or a calling. This show fits right there. To continue to do such a documentation in the Jewish world, one photograph at a time, is quite an undertaking, especially when he has already been to 80 countries on 6 continents. I think that definitely qualifies as passion. My definite congratulations to Jono, and I hope he is really able to continue his calling. Hopefully this discussion has helped you all understand a little bit more about our community we call Montgomery County. We welcome suggestions for topics on our show, and you can email us care of inmontgomerycounty@yahoo.com. We'll see you next time.